Welcome back to another installment of Side Crisis Super Nintendo Edition. We are just steamrolling along, talking about what is, pound for pound, my favorite video game system of all time, to the tune of zero controversy there, because I think the Super Nintendo is a lot of people's favorite system of all time. And I'm playing some of my favorite games on the Super Nintendo. Every one of these games that I'm playing, I love a lot, and that's why I'm playing it. The last one I did do, Street Fighter Alpha 2, which I love Street Fighter Alpha 2, don't get me wrong. And I think that the port for Super Nintendo is great, but I showed that one off more because it's like a kind of more of a technical showpiece, like, holy shit, the Super Nintendo can do that. So the game that I'm playing today is a kind of an example of that. Holy shit, the Super Nintendo can pull something like that off, kind of a deal. Oh, excuse me, I look so foolish. I don't have my ridiculous Chumbawamba hat on to match my stupid shirt. Here we go. There we go. We're back. Thank God. Thank God I remembered that. I wonder what happens if we do... Okay, let's try... Let's go. Oh, man. Okay. Yep. I look like a drug-addled rave sailor. Yeah, let's go with it. Oh, perfect. Speaking of drug-addled, let's check in. Let's check in with our guy here. Corey, how you doing?
Trying to get to be the older brother or the only brother.
That's true. When you're the only brother, that's how you make all the money. I think that's a great idea. What else are you spending your time on, Corey?
I'm trying to get in the habit of, picking up a book, learning how to write my feelings down. Not my feelings, but my thoughts about things.
Yeah, your thoughts about things are important, and you should write them down. Definitely. Okay, give me your thoughts on exactly what the Super Nintendo meant to you.
You know what? It's time for me to go home. This is enough. I've had enough.
I haven't had enough of Super Nintendo, so we're not going to stop that. I have zero intention of stopping that. But if you could leave the people with maybe a piece of your legendary parting wisdom, what would that be? What do you think?
The motto of, the two Corys are Corey and Corey,
yeah.
Or Hamster and Felldog. We invented Hamster and Felldog,
yes.
And it just globally went around the world, and that's how we were known. Yeah,
that's how you're known. You're known as the Hamster and Felldog, and God bless you for it, and I do my part to keep that memory alive. And, I do my part also, too, to talk about these old games that I love, on these systems that I love, and I'm here solo. And it's just like Corey says.
Go solo for a while. I need to fly alone.
Yeah, I need to fly alone on these. And today's game, definitely would be flying alone on it because my partner, my co-host, one of my best friends in the world, he's an ass clown in this regard. In this one regard, I think he's an anti-ass clown in many other regards of his day-to life, how he presents himself to the world. I think he's a great guy. But in this particular category, he's a total abject ass clown because he's never played this game right here, Chrono Trigger. It's the best. It's the fucking best, okay? Chrono Trigger, my favorite video game of all time. It is the game that got me kind of hooked on Japanese RPGs, as it were. Real quick story. I got a lot of stories about this game. Okay, got a lot of stories, personal stories about this particular copy, and then also just my history with Chrono Trigger in general. So I'm gonna run through these before we get into gameplay, and then we'll play some Chrono Trigger and talk about it. Okay, so sad story first. I think I mentioned this on an episode of Midlife Krisis way back when. This particular cartridge that I have in my hand, it's one of the I've bought and sold lots of video game collections over the years, because what happens is I miss the stuff that I sold. I haven't done this in a while because I'm fucking 40 now, and I've just decided no more. I'm just gonna keep my stuff for as long as it works. And I have like a very curated amount of older things that I'm gonna hold on to and keep, and then for everything else, I'm not gonna rebuy it. There's so many different ways that I can play them like accurately on real hardware, so that problem is solved. And at the end of the day, it's nice not having so many fucking things on shelves. Although, like every other video game YouTube channel ever, I've got a lot of fucking shit on shelves. Anyway, this version of Chrono Trigger I bought off of a friend in high school who sadly died. He died in a car accident. He sold me this game for like $15, which at the time, even we're talking like late 90s. That was a deal then. Today it's a friggin' mega deal because the cartridge alone, this is like $100 or maybe more. I haven't looked in a long time. I know, complete with the box and the maps and the instruction manual, it's many hundreds of dollars. But I don't know what a loose one goes for anymore because I got mine and I'm never going to sell this one for that reason. Well, no, the reason that it was given to me, well, it's two reasons. The friend died, and then also if I sell this one, if I want another one, I have to spend money that I don't want to spend. So that's a two-pronged thing there. The other thing is I had a little savings account that was like kind of a thing that family gave me. And I remember my sister had one too, and I really wanted this game, and this game cost $80, and that was not something that was easy to come by. So I was able to convince my mom to let us dip into that little savings so that I could play this game, and I'm eternally grateful for being able to convince my mom to spend too much money on a video game. Because look, at the end of the day, what was that money doing there? Sure, it was accruing interest, and if we left it alone, it would probably be like, I don't know, like $20,000 today. But who gives a shit? I have a lifelong of memories with this, my favorite video game of all time. And that particular copy that I used to own, I sold for like $10 at the local mom and pop total rip-off carny video game store that I grew up going to. And it was a big bundle of Super Nintendo games. Chrono Trigger was the one where like the guy, I remember going like, oh, this is worth something. I'll give you $10 for it. And the rest were like $5 each. And anyway, I think I said this already on an earlier episode of Side Crisis here. But I'm pretty sure, I'm pretty sure I said that. I traded all that stuff in for one copy of Turok the Dinosaur Hunter, which at the time seemed wise, and now doesn't seem wise. Let's check in with Corey. Corey, what did you think about me selling all of my Super Nintendo games to Radical Video Games?
I want my wife back! That's what I want!
Yep. Yeah, sediment is crystal clear there too. But hey, look, I solved that problem. I bought most of those games back. Would have been nice if I had my childhood copies, but what are you going to do? Video game is a video game is a video game. So a little bit of background on Chrono Trigger before we go into it. Most of you probably already know this stuff if you're watching a video about Chrono Trigger, but it was developed by a Square like MVP posse. The artwork is done by Akira Toriyama of Dragon Ball fame. He just passed away, I think, earlier this year, and that was a big deal. That was like, kind of like the Japanese Walt Disney-ish, or maybe, I don't know, maybe it's not a one-to-one with Walt Disney, because ironically, Walt Disney would steal the ideas of the guy who made Astro Boy in the art design of his characters. But anyway, Akira Toriyama was a really, really big deal, super influential in the exportation of Japanese culture to America when Dragon Ball hit. And I'm not a fan. That show has never really been for me, but it's impossible to deny how important it was in terms of, lowering that barrier between America and Japan when it came to the sharing of media and stuff like that. Dragon Ball is a really big deal there. So he does all the art. Chrono looks like a Dragon Ball character. They all do. All the characters do. The storyline, or the scenario, as they used to call it, that's done by Sakaguchi, who did Final Fantasy, like all of the Final Fantasy games that were, in my opinion, worth a shit. Was all done by him. He's gone on and made other RPGs. He's still working. I think he did Blue Dragon on the Xbox 360, which also was with Akira Toriyama, and I thought that was it was cool to see them pair up a game. I think Blue Dragon is an underappreciated Japanese role-playing game. You can buy it on the Xbox store for like $1 all the time, and it's worth it in my opinion. The music was done by Umehara, did all the music for Final Fantasy 3, all that stuff. So it's like the 1992 Olympics dream team of basketball players, but Japanese role-playing designers is what this game is. So, if I could give it a fucking gold medal, I would. And I think maybe I have, and I just don't remember. Anyway, we're gonna get into it. Oh, last little fun little side story. So I'm a father now. Have been for a while. During COVID, my son was pretty young, not like toddler young, but he was like in school. He knew how to read, but was still getting that skill and learning more about it. He and I played all of Chrono Trigger together, and it really helped with his reading. I had him read the whole game as we played, and he loved it. I think anyone who plays this game, like of all the games on Super Nintendo that I'm going to play here on Side Crisis, I do think, and I am biased, this is my favorite video game of all time, but I think that this one is as timeless of a video game as you can get. I think there are people who read about this game who are young, like teenagers that are into Square games, or maybe they're discovering role-playing games, and they invariably find out about this game and play it, and they're like, holy shit, this is a really good game. Because it is. Like, it's, in my opinion, a perfect video game. The pacing, all the features, which we'll get into, it's as good as it gets. So, I will stop yammering on. I will put this in the Super Nintendo like so. And let's get it going like so. And let's do a little sound up there. A little sound up on there. And then I'm going to appear right here in the bottom right-hand side of your screen. We've got the ASCII pad plugged in. We're going to go for it. And let's see. I'm going to let's sound down a notch. Just a notch. Although the music in this game is so good. I'm not a big music or video game soundtrack guy. Don't get me wrong. Like I love, and I have a lot of good memories of video game music. But in terms of buying that stuff, kind of whatever. But when I went to Japan for the first time, and one of the first things we did, just because of where we started our traveling, we went to a Tower Records, and they had the Chrono Trigger soundtrack box set, and it was just standing there like calling to me, and I spent too much money on that fucker, but I still have it. I'm not going to sell it, even though I could give a shit about CDs. Okay, so let's talk about this little setup here. I've already beaten this game several times. This version of a save. I had the battery in my cartridge died, so I had to replace it, which is easy. It's easy. Like if you're going to learn how to, part of this hobby when you have a lot of old shit is like, you either got to know someone who can fix stuff for you, or you should just learn how to do it yourself. So I'm kind of in between there. I learned how to do some of the stuff myself. I'm fairly handy with a soldering iron, but I'm by no means the handiest. But anyway, I can replace the hell out of a battery, and so I did that. So hopefully this thing is going to last another 15, 20 years. And that means something to me because all these saves are, it's my son and I playing these. So I'd like to preserve these as much as I can. But anyway, you can see we got New Game Plus. New Game Plus, let's talk about that. That's a big deal. Chrono Trigger kind of invented that. So when you beat the game for the first time, you can go back in, play New Game Plus, and you keep all of your stats, all of your weapons, all that stuff, carries over. And then it opens up a new way to play the game where you can kind of, in the middle of the story, go and challenge the final boss. And if you beat him, you get a different ending. And I think there's a total of 15 endings. And again, we're talking about a game from 1995. That was, there was nothing else that did that. Chrono Trigger definitely started doing that, the whole multiple endings thing. So let's pick, okay, should we do New Game Plus and just start from the beginning? Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So let's start with Final Battle data. So I have my maximum levels. Battle mode, active, and wait. Okay. Active mode, when you basically the enemies will continue to attack you. This is a turn-based RPG, but if you pick active, everything is on like a timer, like a meter. So the enemies, their meter is going to continue to go. So you can sit there and wait and try to build up a strategy, but you're going to take hits while you're doing that. If you select wait, it is straight up turn-based action. So it goes their attack and then your attack. I have played this game so many times, so many different ways. The two different ways. And it's just, for me, it's like a coin toss. It doesn't really matter. But for your first time through, I would recommend playing wait. Unless you've played a lot of turn-based RPGs, then maybe would want to start with active, just to try something that's new. It is more challenging. So, opening of the game, this is the era that Chrono is from, which is the year 1000 AD. If you didn't know, Chrono Trigger, chrono as in chronological, time, this game is all about time travel. So the quote-unquote modern era where everyone is from the year 1000. That's where we meet Chrono and all of his friends. And then pretty soon into the game, you start time traveling. And maybe what I'll do is I'll play this intro a little bit and then I'll reset, pick another save, and just to see a different area of the game. Because the setup of the game, the startup does take a little while. It's like, I don't know, maybe a half hour or so of dicking around at this this community fair that you have to go to. So that's Chrono's mom. She's just a very generic mom character. Like, and she just asked where your friend is. So you're gonna name your buddy here, Luca the inventor. And we're just gonna do the right thing here. Do the right thing.
I had a blast with Corey.
Me too. Okay. So now we're gonna go ahead straight to the fair. That's where the story starts. In Lean Square here. So we talked to this jerk, telling us to have fun. So there's different mini games you can do at the beginning of this game. Oh yeah, so I went as a kid. Well, was I a kid? I was like, yeah, I was a kid. I was like 12 years old, 11, 12, something like that. I went from playing Final Fantasy III, which was really the first JRPG that I played where I really understood and fully grasped the concept. I played Final Fantasy II when it first came out, rented it, but I was 8, and I didn't quite understand what to do. So, anyway, by the time Final Fantasy III came out, I was all in for it, ready to go. To run in Final Fantasy III, you had to equip an item, sprint shoes. And that was annoying because it took up an item spot. In Chrono Trigger, I think they learned that lesson, and they just, out of the gate, if you hold the B button down, Chrono gets to run. And boy, oh boy, is that a game changer. I'm going to skip all that stuff. I'm going to go right here. That's Marl. She is the other main character. Kinda the love interest. Kinda. Like there's a little bit of that vibe. But it's not a full like romantic interest type of a thing. There's a little allusions to it here and there. Okay, so what's cool is during this section of the game, in a few hours from now, you'll be a criminal in a trial. And the actions you do right now is what that trial is based on. So like if I just immediately go and like run away, that's bad. But if I stop and ask her if she's okay, like that, and then if I go to grab her pendant and give it back to her immediately, that's good. So all this stuff, it's, and you know, the first time you play this game, obviously you don't know that. So I remember getting that part for the first time and just being like blown away that like this game was keeping track of my decisions basically. So she asked, yes, let's walk around. We're friends now. We're friends, you and I. And I'm a very, very good gentleman. Okay, let's change her name and let's just stay on brand here. Stay on theme. Perfect. So we got a couple Corys in the game. Chrono and Corey. I'd watch that. All right, so we can do a few things here. I don't know if I want to do all that stuff just because I'm... So one of the... Again, going back to that trial, there's this cat here. There's a girl who has a missing cat. That's the cat. So you can bring the cat to her. There's a lunch here. If you push the A button, you eat that lunch, and it makes you look like a jerk who steals lunches. Let's skip all that stuff. We're going to go right here. Oh, we still have to kill time. That's right. All right, we're gonna run around. You kind of have to. Let's talk to some folks. Talking to some folks. All right, maybe we just do the. Oh, okay. Let's use this ASCII pad to its fullest. So this is a mini game where you have to smash the A button as fast as you can, as you can see there. I'm gonna cheat. I'm gonna put the turbo switch on, and I'm gonna chug root beer like it's going out of style. That's the ASCII pad difference, friends. So you got silver points. Those silver points do come into play way later in the game. You have to buy a doll of Chrono, and it costs like 80 of those points. But that is something you have to do in the game to further the story. So here's a little girl who wants her cat. Let's go bring her the cat, and then that should let us get to the next part. Nope. We just scared the cat, unfortunately. Let's see if they're ready yet. Still setting up. Okay. You know, let's go fight this. Over here in the left, there is a robot. And what's funny, I can show the battle system here a little bit. So see to the right, there's those meters. That's like your timer. So, and I have obviously every spell unlocked. The game, Chrono Trigger is also really famous for introducing like team up attacks, and there's a ton of different combinations. I think there's like a total of, it's like 7 characters in the game, and there's different combinations between different characters, and then there's even like hidden ones that you had to find items in the game to enable hidden combo attacks. It's a really, for a Super Nintendo RPG, it is a very deep combat system. It is one of the reasons why this game is so beloved. It's funny, the remake of Mario RPG for the Switch that came out last year ripped off this idea. They had like the team-up attacks in that game that they were not in the original Mario RPG, which is another one of my favorite games. But I don't think it's going to make this round of Side Crisis. TBA on that one, but it is. I love Mario RPG a lot. Let's check in again. Come on, guys. Let's talk to this person here. What is the latest gossip? Okay. Is the cat back? Can we do something with the cat? Okay, there we go. The cat is not running away. The cat is now following, so we can return it. The AI on this cat is dog shit, so you got to be careful about corners. But that's fine, because it's not that far of a journey to return the cat. And there we go. I'm so sweet. There's another mini game over here to the right where it's like a dancing thing, and it's a foreshadowing. It shows some of the characters from the prehistoric era, which you will eventually get to. Let's run down here. Because if I remember, they tell you, okay, hey, they're ready for you. It's like an automatic thing. What happened? Let's see if we can go to the world map. You can. Let's go back. Okay, remember I did pick New Game Plus. So that's going to come into play here in a second. This is another little mini game. The spine-tingling show is about to start. So graphically, art style-wise, all that stuff. Again, Chrono Trigger is kind of the top of the heap for Super Nintendo, in my opinion. Especially as like how well it's held up. I think a lot of at the time you look at a game like Donkey Kong Country, which myself and many other people would have said like, well, that's video games aren't going to look any better than this. And I enjoy the look of Donkey Kong Country, but I do think it's kind of an in vogue opinion to say that it doesn't look that pre-rendered graphics, pre-rendered sprites haven't aged well. And that's fair. That's fine. It's a matter of opinion. But being that this is like a hand-drawn dot pixel game, it is what adds to the fact that it's timeless. And there have been ports. There's a DS port, which now is very expensive, and it added a couple things that are kind of arbitrary and stupid. And then there's the infamous PlayStation port. Infamous in that it has a bunch of issues, but it also introduced animated cutscenes, so it's like a give and take there. So there are many different ways to play Chrono Trigger. You can buy it on Steam still, and it's more of like a fixed version of the PlayStation version, I think. Square Enix has not done any of like their pixel remaster stuff with this game. There's never been any sort of whiff of a remake or anything like that, and I think that has to do largely with there's weird licensing and ownership over this game. The fact that Akira Toriyama was involved, I'm sure, because he was kind of known as being a fairly shrewd business person. I'm pretty sure he had an agreement and earned some money on the back end of this game. Stuff like that. So if there were to ever be a remake or a remaster, it would be a little more than just hey, let's remake our game. They would have to get a lot of people on board to agree to it. Which I don't know. I'm kind of torn if that's a good idea or a bad idea. I don't know. I love this game as it is, but I do think that there's space if it was done right. Maybe even in that, as I'm a huge fan of Square's, 2.5D, the HD 2D stuff. So like Octopath Traveler, Live Alive. I think that stuff looks awesome, and Chrono Trigger would be pretty cool in that style. So we'll see. This game does have a pedigree, and it obviously has lots of fans. So I could definitely see it happening one day. There we go. Okay, Corey's device is all set up. So let's go up there. There's one more little thing, one more little trial right here. So she's going to want to get some candy because, I get it. Sometimes a sweet tooth is a sweet tooth. So if I were to push any button to try to get away right now, she would tell me to hold my horses. And that would make me look like a jerk in front of the judge. So I waited because I'm a perfect gentleman. Tabin, that's Luca, aka Corey. Remember, I have two Corys here. They made, not unlike The Fly, they made a telepod type thing, which they're showing off. Okay, so I have New Game Plus on. So you'll notice in this pod over here, where I am circling, there's a little sparkly light. I only have Chrono and Marl in my party, so only two people. I can beat the game right now, right here, right now. Which I won't do because this boss fight is a little long, but I'll at least show you. So, the Chrono Trigger difference. I started this game. You all watched me go through the very opening thing that I rushed through. And here's the final boss of the game. Which, if you beat this, spoilers, I guess, but this game is literally going to be 30 next year, so I don't give a shit about spoilers. But this is the coolest ending of the game, in my opinion. If you beat Lavos, all three versions of him, yes, this is a 3-phase boss, then you get to walk around the offices of Square and like talk to the developers, and they give you like these really quick little deals about the development. Nothing too deep or nothing like a Valve commentary track or anything like that. You know what I forgot to do, and I'm realizing right now, is I did not put all of my my armor on. Whoops! So that's why I'm getting my ass absolutely destroyed. So I totally forgot to do that. That's fine. That's fine. Anyway, you can beat the game here, right here. And it's a really cool ending. YouTube that bad boy if you want. What I'll do right now is I'll reset it. And we'll pick another file and just kind of walk around it for a little bit. This is the Magic Kingdom. This is my favorite part of the game. I love the music. I love how it looks. You want to talk about just a mainline shot of nostalgia. This part of Chrono Trigger reminds me of me and my older sissy sitting in a room listening to KLOS playing alternative hits and having this excellent music turned down and just playing the hell out of Chrono Trigger. Also, my sister got a Violent Femmes mixtape that someone in school made for her, and we would listen to a whole lot of that. And so whenever I play Chrono Trigger, in my head, I kind of hear the Violent Femmes playing, which is just fine, because the Violent Femmes fucking rule, gang. They rule. And I'll just walk around here a little bit just to show it off. So the idea of this part of this is almost like, think of it in terms of like the lost city of Atlantis or one of those types of things. It's like 15,000 BC, and it was society had advanced to this crazy part, but then evildoers do evil, and all this technology gets lost to time. And so when you fast forward in the timeline to where Chrono and his friends are from, none of this cool magic technology exists anymore, and that's that. That little shit that we were just talking to is he ends up being one of the game's main bosses, who then turns into your friend, which is another. I never experienced anything like that in a video game before playing Chrono Trigger, so that was kind of cool. It's like an anti-hero character that you start off fighting against, and then he joins up with you. Okay. Let's do what? Back to the world map here. Let's beam up to another section. Walk around a little bit more. So this is the area that's underneath. And this is like where it's like an impoverished area. There's no magic down here. Everyone who lives down here is very hungry. So it's like the elites of society are up living in heaven, essentially. And then down here in the Ice Age are the Lilliputian, the have-nots, which is certainly baked into the story here. And let's see. Do I have my ship? No. I don't think I have, in this part of the game, I don't have my ship yet. You get a ship, so you can like travel through time and travel on the world map, all that stuff. Okay, let's do this, and let's do this. Well, we'll call it there, because, I mean, it's an RPG. It's not a particularly long RPG. You can beat it for your first playthrough in like 25, 30 hours. But I'm not going to sit here and play this as much as I want to. I'm not going to sit here and play 25 hours straight of Chrono Trigger. I just wanted to show it off and talk about it a little bit. How much it means to me, what it means to me. I have so many personal stories built into this one game. And for a lot of us that are lifers that have been playing video games for it's like our main hobby in life for a lot of years, I think that's like a common story. And Chrono Trigger might not be that for you. It might be, I don't know, fucking Johnny Bazooka Tone or something. But for me, that's not true. No one would say that. But for me, it's Chrono Trigger. So I've got memories with friends with that game. I've got memories with family, both childhood memories and like adult parenthood memories with it. So it means a whole hell of a lot to me. It's my favorite video game of all time on my favorite system of all time. And it don't get no much more sweeter than that. Let's check in one more time with the immortal Corey Haim.
I had a blast with Corey.
And I had a blast with you too.
We invented Hamster and Feldog, and it just globally went around the world, and that's how we were known.
Well, I mean, I don't want to knock you down on your high horse, but...
Easy there, compadre. After all the shit that you pulled, I think you can at least hear me out. I mean...
I will hear you.
Like you owe me that.
And I do owe you that, and I owe you, the viewer out there, more Side Crisis Super Nintendo Edition. Come on back for another one. I don't know what we're going to be playing. I've got the table loaded up here. But we're going to be playing some more Super Nintendo, and I'm going to love every second of it. Thank you so much for watching. Like, subscribe, check us out on Spotify if that's your deal. And I will return with more Side Crisis Super Nintendo Edition.